clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer. Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced, or so a scholar in the mountains had told him. Surely the weapon that banished the lost gods could defeat the Emperor. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Iblis stone was hidden there. It was a dangerous artifact. It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty monster. Maybe he could find a way to use it, to take its power without surrendering to its wickedness. And also, his old friend Lapino needed rescuing. Of course, Renato had a pretty strong suspicion that Lapino had betrayed the rebellion. But could Renato really leave an old friend to the Ravens?
I don't know which way to go now.
Desert. No one went there except ostriches and ostrich hunters. The Iblis stone. It would whisper promises in his ear, offer him power for blood. But this time, Renato was sure he could master it. And so, Renato went ostrich hunting.
The only problem with this game is the load times are quite long.
Every child could sing verses about the Sky Ripper, but ancient codices held hints of other things. A stone that ate souls.
Yeah.
You know, ore is pretty heavy to carry. You know what's not? A new sword. What was he doing here? Last time, the stone had fought him for possession of his own soul. Those flames really bring out your eyes. Ravens were already here, cawing in frustration. They were still searching for a way in. Good. And he hadn't come too late. artisans he was creating employment for. Truly, he was a job creator.
Yeah, I did go this way last time.
A road less traveled. This could be fun. If it wasn't fatal, that is. Where was a bard when you needed one?
Asses.
What was really fun was hooking yourself onto a moving ship. There had to be some way to use the Iblis stone. It was old, wasn't it? People are so much cleverer now. And Renato was pretty sure he was cleverer than most people.
I think I've leveled up.
Ravens at least could not get past this point. Obviously, the temple builders knew how to deal with tomb raiders.
Yep. Recently knew how, man. See, I really don't know which direction in which I should go, like, for this, to get a full truth or
There
fifth
were
truth.
stickers
whatever it
all
is.
over the platform for really hot lady foxes, with pictures and addresses and everything.
There you go.
was a stone of the purest blackness. It reflected no light, like a void made solid. Nervous, he picked it up. I can make you mighty. Who said that? Give me blood. It was the stone, eager, thirsty. Kill the Emperor's daughter. That seemed tempting and terribly wrong. Zenobia was the Emperor's greatest general and a potent witch. But they had been close once, and he had a sneaking suspicion the gem would try to control him. Why not capture the core of Skyripper instead? It was the eye of a lost god torn out by the transcendent Emperor to power his greatest weapon. Not the core, said the stone anxiously. But even though Renato knew how evil the gem was, he had a clever plan for dealing with it. The gem could give great power, but it was evil. But Renato had a plan. He would divide the stone into the power half and the evil half. He sought out the sage Calaveras.
Oh, you need a mirror of splitting,
Croaked Calaveras.
I can make one.
Calaveras set up various shiny things. And soon Renato was setting the stone down in the middle of Calaveras' lab. There was a flash, and now Renato was looking at himself. Except with a mustache, and a goatee and darker hair. There were two Iblis stones. One light and one dark. Renato took the light one. He felt a rush of great power. Now I could defeat the Emperor. Wait a minute. Unfortunately, he couldn't think of any way to use it without hurting someone. That wouldn't be nice. Give me that, said his evil-looking twin. And he drew his sword. He only got it halfway out of the scabbard when he fainted from the effort. Obviously, neither weak, evil Renato nor powerful, nice Renato was any threat to the Empire. After the Emperor's victory, they were exhibited in a museum until time ended, which was soon after. He had tried something bold and paid the price for it.
Well, I didn't know that could happen.
Every child could sing verses about the Skyripper, but ancient codices held hints of other things. A stone that ate souls, a ruby that drank blood, a jewel only a righteous man could give away. Were all these things the Iblis stone? Long hidden in a buried temple, another ancient item that was only resurfacing now, drawn up from the deeps by the Emperor's horrific rituals? What was he doing here? The last time, the stone had fought him for possession of his own soul. Raven can't fly, thought Renato. The ravens were already here, cawing in frustration. They were still searching for a way in. Good. Then he hadn't come too late.
in your aerobics craze. Am I right?
Huh? Eh?
You never knew
Sure.
where the road would take you.
Well,
Thought
this
an
way.
hour.
In case there's a different door.
So that's what they meant by a firewall. What unlocks a firewall?
Fire sword!
There had to be some way to use the Iblis stone. It was old, wasn't it? People are so much cleverer now. And Renato was pretty sure he was cleverer than most people.
I think Ronaldo's wrong.
He'd once met a pirate captain. He used hooks to get around his ship. Oh, what was his name again? If they didn't want their things broken, they really ought to make them stronger.
Exactly.
The Ravens at least could not get past this point. Obviously, the temple builders knew how to deal with tomb raiders. Don't look down, he told himself. Don't look down.
There you go. Hopefully I won't die this time.
Of the purest blackness. It reflected no light, like a void made solid. Nervous, he picked it up. It was the stone. Eager, thirsty. That seemed tempting and terribly wrong. Zenobia was the Emperor's greatest general and a potent witch. But they had been close once,
And he had a sneaking suspicion the gem would try to control him.
why not capture the core of Skyripper instead? It was the eye of a lost god torn out by the transcendent Emperor to power his greatest weapon. "To the core," said the stone anxiously.
But even though Renato knew how evil the gem was, he had a clever plan for dealing with it.
The stone bothered him. He hated being told what to do. Wasn't that why he joined the rebellion? Wasn't that why he'd refused to be a soldier? He'd agreed to come on board only if he could freelance.
The stone felt a bit clingy, and he had a feeling it did not have his best interests at heart. The sage Calaveras had told him where to find the Skyripper, a weapon capable of challenging the gods. Even without its armature, the core would still possess great power.
He would go there. The moment he landed the Farfarer, Renato had a rare feeling of regret. It's not too late, he thought. He could turn around and sail for Zenobia's island. He frowned. Wait a minute. He didn't want to kill Zenobia, did he? Sure, technically she was the enemy, but they'd been at Sword Fruit School together. They'd never been lovers, but somehow they'd been closer. She'd told him every secret about herself. Except the biggest one. That she was the Emperor's daughter. No. Kill Zenobia, whispered the stone. Before it's too late.
Dear Zenobia, the director of the Academy has told me how much he was impressed by your academic performance and leadership. Somehow I doubt this was a session of flicking. I've seen plenty of those. Old Toad is sincere. I'm proud of you. You'll make a fine empress one day. On my end, great news. Professor Calaveras has been studying the Nexus and has made a bold observation. The Toad is a true genius. You know how the island is unique, constantly changing. New crystalline formations appearing. Island fragments merging, splitting, slowly drifting, held together by some invisible threads. Professor Calaveras is convinced those changes are not random, rather indicative of the living nature of the islands. It is observed certain changes on the Nexus follow, or sometimes precede, a turbulence on another island. Landslide, quake, flood, the Nexus seems to resonate with those events. Maybe the islands are a hive mind and the Nexus is a brain. In any case, I am funding a permanent scientific observatory on the Nexus to attract the Empire's greatest minds. My apologies. Professor Calaveras at the helm. I anticipate a great age of enlightenment for his empire. Or the Empire, with love, Father. What?
Ravens didn't smell any better dead, Renato thought.
What?
Renato had been the terror of the sandcastles when he was 2. You almost never saw wild gogglers together like this. The toads had to train them not to peck each other to death. So these had to be Imperial gogglers. That meant ravens were up ahead.
The stone hadn't lied about what it could do for him. With each raven he cut down, he felt a jolt of power flowing into his arm. "You're weak," whispered the stone. "The core will kill you." "Are you afraid of it?" "No, don't be ridiculous," it chuckled. But it's unstable. It will poison you if so much as carry it, and if you try to use it, it will explode catastrophically. Renato did not trust rocks that talked in his head. He went onwards.
Of course there was a puzzle. You couldn't expect the transcendent emperor to bury a god's eye in a leather sack where anyone could pick it up.
Damn it.
This couldn't be good for global warming. As he approached the core, the stone became hysterical. "No, it's too much power. We'll rip a hole in space and time."
He had a sudden vision of plunging his gauntlet into the core and dying in anguish. That wasn't his vision, was it? The stone had sent him its darkest fears, hadn't it? He had a sudden impulse to do exactly that. He raised his right fist and plunged it into the core. There was a rush of light. He thought he could hear the stone screaming. And then he passed out.
When Renato came to, the core was gone. But the Iblis stone was no longer black, but glowing with a blue light. And it was silent. "I can't hear you," he sang out, and "You?" It didn't answer. "Ha!" he said. He had defeated the demonic gem with the power of his mind. He felt invincible. It was time to attack the Imperial outpost on the Nexus. Take the battle to the enemy. But among the huge crystals, there was also an observatory. A wise man would probably ask the scientists exactly what he had first. How wise was he? As As the Farfarer sailed towards the Nexus, Bernardo wondered if the core had been created to silence the stone, or even to feed its hunger. Well, honestly, he didn't care. He felt terrific, and he appreciated the quiet inside his head.
Interesting. I didn't know what to go with
The
those two
Nexus
choices,
was
like, you know?
infested with ravens, but that didn't bother Renato. With each death, the converted Iblis stone in his gauntlets glowed brighter, and he felt stronger. Wow. He was getting a bit bloodthirsty, wasn't he? Well, he wasn't worried. He was a warrior. They're supposed to be bloodthirsty. Once you try it, you're hooked. I wonder what happens if I go that way. If he ever had a castle, he was going to hide his stuff better.
Yep, need to.
The core, absorbed in the stone, was doing its job perfectly. Bernardo could feel a little eldritch jolt every time he downed a raven, but then it flowed into the glowing stone the way water flows down a riverbed. It all felt perfectly natural, as if all his life, this was what he had been meant to do. You couldn't find high-quality ore like this just anywhere. Just anywhere with chests.
I do enjoy this game. I need a hell of a lot more.
Renato tore through the last remaining guards at the outpost like hot coffee through snow. There was a far speaker toad here. He called the council speaker, He knew she would be thrilled, and she was. She wanted him to come back to base. They had plans to discuss, and a medal to give him. A large, golden medal. Great, said Renato. Let's talk about who else I can kill. Then the far speaker croaked again.
Hello, Renato.
He said,
If you get sick of slaughtering second-rate birds in the Nexus, I am waiting for you in the mountains.
Zenobia. She missed him. She loved him. Once she saw how awesome he'd become, maybe she'd join him. A kiss and well, if she did refuse for some reason, he was no match for him now. Zenobia was taunting him. No doubt she hoped to lure him into a trap. Well, he was nobody's sucker. Especially not hers. He carried victory in his gauntlet. He would go where the council pointed him. As he set foot on the island, Bernardo felt energized, like when he was hunting or dancing. Then he smelt it, the stench of ravens. It was a good thing he was here too, before they tripped over the secret base. He was really saving the council toad's bacon, so to speak. Ooh, sparkly, thought Renato.
But to get a good ending.
Hey, I got this friend who's a swan. Can you join up? He dyes his feathers.
there had to be something useful in these things, didn't there?
Bastard!
The ravens had reduced Ubar to rubble. Bernardo chuckled at the irony that it was now the secret rebel base. It was good to practice your moves, thought Renato. Keeps you limber. his. This jewel was more than sparkly. It had arcane power and an engraving. To Cindy.
Looks like Cindy was supposed to have a powerful artifact. Or whatever.
Or I could go that way, he thought.
See? Renato was a hero of the revolution. He deserved a medal. Soon, he deserved every medal they had, and hopefully one big medal ceremony in front of everybody with trumpets so everyone could know what he'd accomplished.
Hey, can't you tell if someone's far away or just really small? Give me a lever, said Archimedes, and I shall open a gate. Long stairs. So he was close to the rebel base. Nothing was on fire. So far, so good.
God damn it, I keep screwing up the timing on these.
That had gone rather well, actually.
Hey Anthem, dude. How you doing, man? You good?
You could sense the jewel's power. He had a feeling they were going to be great friends. Inside the rebel base, Renato was invited to the council speaker's private chambers.
So, this is the Iblis Stone? He said. I can feel its power.
Yeah, I'm not too bad, man.
How he had fed the core to the stone and made something even more useful than either. Crazy like a fox, she croaked. And Renato chuckled as if he'd never heard the joke before. We've given you the best quarters. and a bottle of Tantalonian firewater. All for you. So they'd remembered. He woke in the morning with the sweetest of hangovers.
But the Iblistone was gone from his gauntlet.
The corridors were empty, except for a few rebels who looked just as hungover as him. "Come on, you'll miss the battle," they yelled. Renato added sail as the Farfarer scudded across the sky. Who could have taken the Iblistone? Was it some Imperial spy? He would find him, and kill him, and take the stone back.
He lost his Iblistone.
Renato had a bad taste in his mouth. He was killing ravens, but it wasn't fun. It felt like a chore. Oh, Renato hated chores. As a fox kid, he'd gone hungry rather than clean his room. He still didn't clean his room, he just moved house every few years. Who had the Iblistone anyway? Up ahead, he could hear screaming and croaking and cawing. But who was winning?
There was a pleasant breeze coming through that door. Had it been closed before?
So yeah, I don't think you've seen any of this game before, have you? Well, not with when I've been playing it anyway, because it's basically like you make your own little adventure. You gotta find the four truths before you can get to the final story. But there's still plenty of stories, even after you've completed the game. You can still go through it to make more and get different endings. I won't be doing that. I'll just be completing it and that's it, like.
As he ran forward, Renato noticed that some ravens were starting to ignore him. Just running away. Who were they running from? Some hero of the revolution? If some other so-called hero of the revolution had the stone and tried to take his victory and his medals, Renato was going to be seriously pissed off. He was the hero, not some other bozo.
Renato wondered if his future self had commissioned these poems.
Oops. Gives me all energy so often. I rarely ever use my swords, to be honest, apart from the healing sword.
This was definitely better than pulling yourself up in a bucket.
I could really do with some health. Nice.
Finally, Renato came to the Emperor's ship. Zenobia lay dead in front of it. The ship was a wreck. Ravens lay dead, sprawled everywhere. Bloody feathers spattered across the deck and the dock. The council speaker came out. She was waving a sword around like a flag. "Look at me, Renato!" She croaked. The Iblis stone on the sword was black as coal. "Now I will be Empress, and all shall tremble before me," she croaked. So the stone had her. It was in her brain, whining for blood. "I'm afraid I can't allow that," said Renato, and moved to fight her. Toads are not usually good with swords. Something about the footwork. And the council speaker was not even a warrior. She was always tripping over things, which is quite an impressive achievement when you're a toad. Yet somehow, she was pressing Renato backwards as he desperately tried to keep her sword away from his throat. "Look, why don't you keep the stone?" he asked. "You deserve it." "Blood and souls for Iblis," she croaked. "Blood and souls." She got under his guard with her sword. It was just the tip. But sometimes just the tip is enough. He could feel his soul being sucked into the stone. As he died, he felt embarrassed more than anything else. And he hadn't learned anything new this time. He'd done the same thing twice, yet expected a different outcome.
Damn it!
There would be a way to win. Renato could feel it. He'd have to explore choices he'd never made before he could figure it all out.
That's annoying.
And with that, the book's pages fluttered to the beginning once again. And he fell. The clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer. Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Or so a scholar in the mountains had told him. Surely the weapon that banished the lost gods could defeat the Emperor. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Iblis stone was hidden there. It was a dangerous artifact. It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty monster. Maybe he could find a way to use it. To take its power without surrendering to its wickedness. And also, his old friend Lapino needed rescuing. Of course, Renato had a pretty strong suspicion that Lapino had betrayed the rebellion. But could Renato really leave an old friend to the Ravens? Every child knew about the Sky Ripper. The Transcendent Emperor had buried its pieces.
How does one get the fourth truth?
As he set foot on the island, Renato couldn't help feeling a bit curious. Was Lapino still waiting to be rescued? No. He was probably drinking champagne with the ravens. Did ravens drink champagne? Did rabbits? Renato felt oddly thirsty, come to think of it. Why?
It's a really good game.
Sky Ripper? Renato never made plans that required constant vigilance. He was a hero. He didn't think too much. He just went with his gut and hoped it all worked out. The Sky Ripper was a long shot. He'd have to devote himself to it. No side journeys, no rescuing old friends. That was against his nature. Could he stick with it?
Is it on the Xbox One then?
These things really slice like ham.
Fair enough, man.
Renato was running out of choices. Zenobia's love brought him only sorrow. His best friend was his enemy. And the Iblis stone... Ooh, he shuddered. Best not to think about it. All that was left was the Sky Ripper, a weapon powered by a god's eye. So be it, then.
The truth behind the Sky Ripper is shrouded in thick fog. The most believable tale is that the Transcendent Emperor has used the Sky Ripper to banish Iblis. Then, TE buried the weapon and vanished. Was it a self-imposed exile? Rid the world of the last divine present? Or was it the price to pay for using such a tremendous power? Could the Sky Ripper and the Iblis have a deeper connection than just a weapon and its victim? My rituals will summon the Iblis Stone. Perhaps I should worry that they will also cause the Sky Ripper to resurface. If that is the case, I should spare no resources to find it. A weapon that can banish a god is invaluable bargaining chip. The old ones decide to double-cross me. It is their nature to try. But the gods are predictable, and I can rely on that to always be one step ahead. Emperor is... Say what? Sengrim 3, 3rd Secret Journal.
Ah, the road less traveled, thought Renato. How intriguing.
Fuck off!
Had once explained to Renato how portals worked, but no matter how hard he tried to understand, the words just flew out of his brain.
Yes, my smoke detector. Need to replace it. The one I've got is it was from the fire brigade. They were going around people's houses giving out fire smoke alarms, and for some reason they give ones out that can't replace the batteries.
Well, the eyes have had it. Open, says me. This chest contained blank passports from 15 countries. And something useful.
Yeah, with ours, it doesn't seem like you can change the battery at all, which is really fucking stupid.
See? That wasn't so hard.
Why is there one of the... Yeah. Huh. Yeah, I have no idea. I'll have to check it. Make sure, like...
There it was. Skyripper's armature. The stuff that dreams are made of. Engineers' dreams, anyway.
The device was intricate. No one alive had the skill to make a thing like it. How is it part of a weapon at all? He'd have to ask a scientist. But first, he'd get the second piece. Skyripper had a heart. A core that had come to rest in the next island. Well, there was another island he could reach. Zenobia had just invaded it with her father's Raven battalions. She must be encamped there still. But fighting Zenobia now, that made no sense at all. He'd already sacrificed one friend to get this armature, was it? He didn't need to hurry to face her. She would find him. It was a no-brainer. He'd sacrificed his old friend Lapino to get the armature. And the armature was useless by itself, only a series of coils and wheels. War demanded sacrifices, and he would make more before the end. He would have to choose the greatest good no matter how much it cost him. Zenobia. Well, he would see her sooner or later, across a battlefield or a sword's point before all this was over. He was sure of that. The power was in the core. Obviously, he had to get the core.
I have no idea what I'm doing now to get this fourth truth. Really fucking don't.
He looked up at the old trees around him. They were so big and so old. They'd been there before he was born, and they'd be there after he'd passed into legend. Was he confronting his own unimportance? What had got into him? He was no philosopher. Anyway, who cares? He was plenty important. He was a hero, and soon he'd prove it. Whee!
Oops. just came up here, and for some reason I came back up here. I don't know why. Not far off being able to upgrade one of my swords.
Maybe I should follow my nose, thought Renato.
Last time I came here, I went down the... Did you see it looked like a fiery looking well thing? Well, I went down there.
Snack time, boys! Called the lead raven.
Bastard. Bastard! What? That was fucking awful.
There was something sour in the air. Like the earth had ruptured over something that had been fermenting for a very long time.
You almost never saw wild gogglers together like this. The toads had to train them not to peck each other to death. So these had to be imperial gogglers. That meant ravens were up ahead.
Yep. Goddamn dirty ravens.
There were fewer and fewer trees. There were only these huge crystalline growths. Had those been here before? He no longer heard birds except for the feverish cawing of the ravens when they attacked. He couldn't smell the small animals of the forest. The mice and rabbits. Where had they gone? And he was getting hungry too. This was an unhealthy place to be. Renato could feel his fur singe.
How's your internet doing, man? Have they come to sort it yet, or what? 'Cause, no, you haven't streamed, like, all last week. Fuck!
He thought. Why did it have to be wallabies?
I don't know what the hell happened to there.
The 20-sided core made him feel physically sick. Once he had sneaked into a temple of the dark arts, and he hadn't liked what he smelt and saw there. This felt like that. As quick as he could, he wrangled the icosahedron into the armature. The wheels began to spin, then glow. The sick feeling quickly spun away. Now he only felt sad. He had lost good friends for this war apparatus. Maybe Lapino wasn't such a good friend. Yeah, that made him feel better. He carried his prize back to the Farfarer. Now, he had to make his next move. There was a key Imperial outpost on the Nexus. If this really was some sort of super weapon, he could use it to wreak havoc on the enemy. And if it wasn't, well, better to know that before the final battle. But maybe he should show it to some scientists first. There was an observatory on the Nexus. Maybe he should go there before he fired it. Well, of course. If you've just assembled a weapon out of legend that can exile gods from the world, you'd want to have a scientist or two look at it. And even if they disagreed and he had time, he could ask Calaveras himself. Yes, the observatory would be his objective.
Decided to go a different route, see, this time. Last time I went for the go and kick ass thing.
Why had the parts of the Sky Ripper only surfaced now? Thousands of years after the Transcendent Emperor had dismantled it. The mad Emperor Isengrim had performed terrible, bloodthirsty rituals to invoke the lost gods. Was that why these ancient artifacts were rising out of the ground? How perfect, then, that the Sky Ripper would reappear to be his destruction.
That was fun. Let's do this again sometime.
The new pathway made Renato curious.
Motherfucker! Why ain't you giving me any ore at least, goddammit?
A legendary weapon was exactly what the rebellion needed. They were outnumbered. The once kind emperor had become a tyrant. But his ravens stayed loyal, for he fed them his victims, and the other animals were too frightened to rebel. Renato shuddered at what the emperor was trying to do. To bring back the lost gods, the Black Harvest, the Black Sun? No. He would stop that toad, no matter what the risk.
Have you ever felt you were just going round in circles? Bernardo felt like that.
Oh, nice. Show him with freeze enemies.
There was an inscription on the platform. Balaleka lessons, with an address.
Ah! Oh! Ah!
I'd done a barrel roll, he thought.
You should have done a barrel roll. Fucking hell. Barrel roll. Fucking hell.
It was definitely easier to fight inanimate objects.
So, what's happening with your internet, Anthem, man?
Renato was thrilled. The scientists seemed to think he'd put the Sky Ripper together right. But one toad was worried.
Yeah, the
Ugh.
Sky Ripper could tear a hole in existence itself. There are invisible strings that tie the universe together. If the Sky Ripper cut one, the hole would widen and widen until our whole existence fell into it.
Another toad sighed. Irving still believes in string theory.
At least go see Calaveras.
Yeah, said the worried toad.
He knows more than anyone else has forgotten about the Transcendent Emperor.
If anyone could tell him how to use this weapon safely, it would be Calaveras. It was he who had told Renato how to find it in the first place. But maybe he had to give up on using it as a weapon. Maybe he had to go to the secret rebel base and ask the generals there what he could do with a weapon that he dared not use. Well, he should have known he'd have to
Oh, that's a
fight
shame, man.
Calaveras again. The scientists at the observatory were smart enough. But what did they know of the Transcendent
I haven't been
Emperor?
streaming as much as I
They
should
hoped it
be,
wouldn't
though.
delay him too long. The rebels had scheduled the final battle soon. Every day they delayed risked the exposure of the secret base. And some soldiers were already drifting back to their homes and families. Calaveras would fix the Sky Ripper for him. And then he would win the final battle.
You better be, man.
Maybe it was the cold. But after a few steps, Renato's optimism started to slump. What if Calaveras couldn't help? Did Renato dare use the Sky Ripper? Oh, he hated that he had chosen this path. It was so much simpler to rescue friends and attack enemies
Even if some of those friends were more trouble than his enemies, some of those enemies had been friends before and might be lovers after. No, okay, it wasn't all that much simple. No. Physics made his brain hurt. That, at least, he was sure of.
I want energy, I want health. As a portal box. I need another 80 ore and then I can
No spitting.
fully upgrade the final sword. Oh, damn it.
He tried to focus on the now. The ravens who seemed everywhere all that. Where did they hatch from? Were there giant raven hatcheries somewhere, or did they have families?
Did I beat Dark Souls 3 yet? No, I've only played it once.
Raising their darling raven chicks. Yeah, Calvaris would help. He would make Renato feel better about using the Sky Ripper. And then Renato wouldn't have to worry about ravens ever again.
Honestly, I don't think Dark Souls is for me.
Hey, I hear black is the new dead.
What? It's the only problem with this game. It's like you can only block against one person. So if two attack at once, you're screwed. I was thinking about it.
His mother never let him wave his sword around at home. He guessed he was still compensating for that.
I didn't get into the closed beta. I didn't even try for it. Didn't know there was one, to be honest. Which is surprising because I always get emails off Ubisoft. I got into the Ghost Recon Wildlands beta and played that for a bit. Bit of a shonky game that is. Fun though.
for a little exploration.
Did you play the beta at all? Dear Zenobia, do you remember that expedition I have sent to the depths beneath the islands? They have returned. Well, 3 ships have returned out of the 8 I sent. Of course I mourn the losses. Knowledge that survivors brought back is invaluable. What they have experienced is incredible. The air gradually grows denser and more turbulent, till it becomes a suffocating, bone-crushing thunderstorm. The islands keep stretching for miles below the surface, and they have roots that radiate downward, far beyond sight. The islands are alive. This is the proof I was looking for. The thick air of the depths keeps them afloat. And in the depths they find their sustenance. Do they have conscience? Are they aware of our existence, or are we merely parasites they ignore or tolerate? I must prepare another expedition. This time I will go myself. I need to see the wondrous world of the endless deep sky. I hope you will visit me before I leave. I would like to hear more about your new friend of yours, Renato. With love, Father. You didn't get him in the beta. Well, it's a pretty janky game, man. Don't get me wrong, I actually enjoyed what I played of it. But that was playing it with people. I can't see it being much fun to play on your own. God damn it, fucker.
As for the gate, well,
God damn it, I hate it when it does that.
or leave her. Sorry. The rebels were counting on Renato. We hoped Calaveras knew what he was doing.
I got Future Soldier but never played it. I loved Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter. Don't think I've got any levels.
Calaveras had never let him down.
Yeah, of course I can make it work better.
But when Renato explained about the strings, Calaveras grew thoughtful.
Oh, strings, you say? Well, the Arcana do speak of the ties that bind the world.
He drew many intricate symbols in the dirt.
Yeah, so, according to my calculations, each time you fire, I'm afraid there's a 1 in 120 chance you'll destroy the universe.
That's pretty good odds. That's like rolling, 21 dice and they all come up 6. What are the odds of that?
What? No! It's more like 2.716s in a row.
Anyway, with those odds, it won't happen if I use it just once.
What? No. That's so not right. Each time you use it... Okay, look. Just don't use it ever. At all, okay?
All right, I guess.
As he sailed away from the mountains, Renato could see clouds darkening. Rain? No. Ships. Imperial ships, swarming thick as bees.
This was it. The big battle. They could not afford to lose this one. What if it did not go well? What if he had to use the Sky Ripper? Could he gamble the universe? On the other hand, what were the odds of rolling 21 sixes in a row? The battle was not going spectacularly well. What had the rebels been thinking? They'd been thinking he would bring the Sky Ripper, or the Iblistone, or that he'd sideline Zenobia somehow, or turn her. Couldn't he use the Sky Ripper just once? After all, if chances were 1 in 128, that meant he'd for sure be okay the first time. They'd get worse each time he used it, but the first time would be okay, right? He wasn't sure that it was right. So he didn't fire the Sky Ripper. He just brought it along, in case.
Renato had a feeling that was the back door to something. But what?
Well, hopefully I get a different truth at the end of this. That's all I care about. Yay, 10 health.
Someone had told him the odds didn't change just because you'd had a streak of good luck. His gut told him that was wrong, though, and he always listened to his gut. On the other hand, 128 chances to win, but one of them, he'd destroy the universe. That seemed a bit serious. Maybe he could defeat the Emperor without firing the Sky Ripper. Maybe he could bluff, but with a real weapon. Like in cards, when you had 3 knaves, but you pretended you had a fizbin. That could work.
Right, who wants to die first?
God damn it! I'm getting fucking worse at the combat, not better. It's annoying because the first run through I didn't die once. Just because this is my second run through tonight. And this one I've died fucking loads.
You know nothing, Jon Snow.
I need to.
Renato had learned so much. It was time to turn it into something he could use.
God damn it! Keep forgetting about that bit of the airships and I just get shot like. Hey, awesome! You mean, yeah, you could play Bloodborne, and the cool thing is as well, is PS4 Pro is getting a boost mode soon, which means that even games without Pro enhancements get a boost in frame rate, and Bloodborne is a game that would benefit from that a lot. Damn it, the Emperor's Way is down there.
Good thing Renato didn't have vertigo. He set up the Sky Ripper and let it warm up. He would bluff if he had to. Zenobia came out, flanked by a very daunting platoon of ravens. You won't actually use that, she said in that annoying, I know everything because I'm a cat and you know nothing because you're just a fox voice she had. Or I know the odds. Good, because there's a real chance you could destroy the universe. No, not the first time I use it. The odds are too low. What? No? Yeah, sure. The first time, the odds are practically nothing. They only go up if I use it a bunch more times. No, but that's not how odds work. Didn't you pay attention in class? Now surrender, or I'll use it. Just once, he said. Don't.
He felt sure the odds were with him. He had to go with his gut. That's what heroes do. Fire, he said. Please? The Sky Ripper fired. With a tremendous whoosh, the Emperor's flagship went up in flames. It was awesome. And then he noticed
There was a hole in the air. A blackness, like a tear in a parchment. Wind was blowing into it, widening it. It grew larger, and even larger. Crates fell upwards into it, and the world itself seemed bent, like the reflection on a curved mirror, as it poured into the ravenous hole. Ah, 1 in 128. What are the odds? Thought Renato. And then everything fell into the hole and was gone. He should go back to some of the choices he'd faced before. Maybe there were new paths that had opened up, like those doors he was opening up all over the map that took him to new treasures and around his enemies. But he'd learned another true thing. The core was powerful, but dangerous if used improperly.
Okay. Oh, do I... Oh well. Right, I'm gonna go bed now because it's gone 12 o'clock. And,
Faster than before? And he fell. The clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base.
yeah, so I'm gonna go bed because, it's like
Pieces of the
sleepy
Sky
time.
Ripper had surfaced.
But I'll be back tomorrow with
Renato
something.
knew that using it could go catastrophically wrong. But he was sure he could figure out how to use it safely. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Iblis stone was hidden. It was a dangerous artifact. It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty monster.
I
Maybe
still don't know where to go with
find a way
this
to
for
use
the
it.
actual proper
Take its
ending.
power without surrendering to its wickedness.
Yeah, I will, Xanthem, dude.
His old friend Lupino needed rescuing. Of course. Renato had a pretty strong suspicion that Lupino had betrayed the rebellion. And he had a gut feeling that he needed to use that
That's
to
a new
his
symbol,
advantage.
a key. Maybe you're meant to follow the key along. Anyway, I'm gonna go bed. Thank you for tuning in. It's a shame that, you know, I gotta get up in the morning or I'd stay up later to play because I'm enjoying this. And I shall see you soon. Good night, guys.